Gyananjana Shalakaya Shakshurumiritam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha Gaurave Gaurachandaraya Radhikaye Tadaraye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Vedanta Sutra, 3rd chapter, 3rd part, 1st sutra. So before beginning to read the sutra, just a small resume. The 3rd chapter of Vedanta Sutra is mainly called Sadhana, Sadhana Adhyaya. But the first part, because there's always 4 parts to each chapter, the first part deal mainly, and also the major part of the second part, deal mainly with the transmigration of the soul, with the condition of the soul in waking and sleep, deep sleep, and then it speaks of different condition. So this is in order to teach vairagya, detachment, because when we know that all these conditions are wonderful, like sleep is the dreams are wonderful creation of the Lord, and when we learn how conditioned we are, then we can learn how to renounce and to also be attracted to the Lord. This was explained before. And the remaining part of the second part, pada, the second part, discuss the different attributes of Brahman. Sometimes they seem contradictory, but just to show that he is completely free from all defects and he has the best of qualities. And last time we've seen how the Lord, he is the real awarder of our action. The karma is not done automatically without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. So this is the first sutra of the 3rd part of the 3rd chapter, Sarva Vedanta Pratyayam Shodhanadi Avisheshat. Brahman is the object of knowledge of all the Upanishads, and because this is an injunction of all text. Moksha Shastra, the Upanishads are called Moksha Shastra, they are scriptures leading to liberation. And there's this aphorism also in one of the Upanishad. It says, Brahmavit apnoti param. One who knows Brahman, he attains the Supreme, he attains Brahman. So this part of this 3rd part of this 3rd chapter discuss the different vidya, the knowledge, as mean of sadhana to attain Brahman. There are actually 32 type of vidya described in this chapter. We're not going to go through all of them, and they're a reminder of what we've seen in the 1st chapter. If you remember, the 1st chapter is describing different characteristics of Brahman. So therefore, for example, there's a Sat Vidya. It says that in the beginning, Sat, what is truth, was existent, and this leads to the famous teaching to Shwetaketu, Tattvamasi, you are that reality. So it's called Sad Vidya. Then you have Dahara Vidya. Dahara means in the heart, the subtle space within the heart. Within the heart, there's a certain space, and Brahman is residing there, and we should meditate on that. This is also described in 1st chapter, and this is a mean of meditation. Bhuma. Bhuma means the great. Bhuma Vidya, to meditate on the great. When the Muslim, they're calling for prayers, Allahu Akbar, or they want to assassinate people, whatever. Allahu Akbar means God is great. This is an understanding that there's nothing more great than God. Madhu Vidya. Madhu means honey. To meditate on this specific knowledge that teaches that there's something very sweet inside the sun. The sun is like honey to the God. It's like a poetic way of putting it. But to us, Madhu means Madhu Hari, Madhurya. And Anandamaya Vidya, the Lord or Brahman who is endowed with Ananda, unlimited bliss. So there are many Vidya described in this chapter, and they are meant for meditation. This is the difference between this chapter and the 1st chapter. So according to Shankaracharya, because he's always coming first to give the interpretation, because he comes in time the earliest. So he says that all these different type of vidyas, they are concerned with the Sadguna Brahma or lower Brahma. But they're only for the purpose of meditation, in order that we can get to Nirguna or higher Brahma. This is the way Shankaracharya and the Mayavad, they interpret everything. They think when we describe God with attributes and qualities, this is called Brahman qualified by attributes which are material. Ultimately, God has no attributes, no quality. This is only a help, because everything that is material is limited. So therefore, Saguna Brahman is limited. When you worship the deity form, that is limited Brahman in a form, but ultimately there is no form. That's why the Hindu, they have this big festival for Ganesh in Bombay. They make a big statue of Ganesh, and they have a big procession, and then they throw it in the sea. And then it dissolves. Of course, it pollutes everything also, because they paint it. So then, therefore, all this paint is going to mix in the water, and it's worse when they throw it in the river. But nevertheless, this is because they think that ultimately our worship has been done, and we don't need that deity anymore. This is the way they understand. Lower Brahman, higher Brahman. So Vaishnava are not agreeing, of course. Ramanujacharya, he's saying that this sutra, Sarva Vedanta, all Vedanta teaches, yes, that there is a higher, highest self, yes, but he's not impersonal Brahman, he's Paramatma. Actually, the Vedas are describing three kinds of path. Karma Kanda, for those who are very much attached to the works and the results of works, they want good karma. This is called Karma Kanda. We've seen how Krishna was teaching the Karma Mimamsa philosophy. So those who are attracted to do pious works and they want good results, actually most religion are like that. Most people who go to church or mosque or synagogue, they go because they want to do pious activities and they hope to be rewarded. So this is called Karma Kanda. Then they have Jnana Kanda. Usually they are teachings from the Upanishads. So Vedanta means the end of Veda, meaning Upanishads. According to Shankaracharya, according to Ramanujacharya also, Jnana Kanda. Then you have Upasana Kanda, and Ramanujacharya, he's saying that Vidya actually means Upasana. What is Upasana for him? Upasana means to worship. This is also in the Veda. You worship the different gods. You offer prayers, you offer articles for their pleasure. So it's already there. It's not like it is separated. It's all there. Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda, it's everywhere. Actually in the Veda, also in the Upanishad, because karma means you do something, you're working. Bhagavad Gita is teaching like this. Karma Kanda, then there's Yoga, then there's Jnana Kanda, then there's Bhakti Kanda. So he's saying Upasana for Ramanujacharya means some kind of worship, but through meditation. It is the way of being absorbed in Bhagavan Vishnu. This is the difference, big difference with Shankaracharya. Brahman is Purushottama, Paramatma. Bhagavan Vishnu, Hari, Narayan, so many names for describing the same personality, but he is a person, the supreme person. Purush Uttama means the highest person. Then Madhvacharya, he has another interpretation, and like Shankaracharya, he doesn't restrict the word Vedanta only to Upanishads. He says that actually Vedanta means all of the Veda. He already has said that in chapter 1 of Vedanta Sutra. We've seen this with this sutra, Tattu Samanvayat, that all the Samanvaya, or the link between different scriptures, should be done to all of the scriptures. That means Veda. So Madhvacharya, he's also sometimes quoting from the Rig Veda. And it means also Upanishad, Aranyaka, all these different Shruti. But it also means Smriti Shastra. Like Hitihasa. Hitihasa means Mahabharata, Ramayana. And Puranas, different Puranas. Bhavishya Purana, Garuda Purana, Bhagavat Purana or Srimad Bhagavatam. All these different Puranas he's quoting. Then it also means Tantra Shastra. Different types of Tantra. That is why he's quoting sometimes some scriptures that nobody heard of, because he's very much knowledge. He has a lot of knowledge of different kinds of branches of the Veda. Then he's saying there's 3 types of upasana. Deep study of scripture. You study the scripture deeply with intensive reflection on the meaning. Not only you study, you try to understand what it means. Then you have contemplation, dhyana, meaning that you meditate on these findings. Then you enter a trance, samadhi. 3 stages of upasana, which is actually termed as jigyasa. The first sutra, Tato Brahma Jigyasa. What is this jigyasa? Gya means to know. Jigyasa, the desire to know Brahman by studying of the scripture. Because if we remember, Madhvacharya is saying Shastra is giving us sufficient knowledge to know Brahman. Unlike Shankaracharya who is saying Shastra is limited. I cannot describe Brahma because Brahman is beyond word. Madhva is saying the opposite. No, Shastra do describe Brahman. That is the reason why you have Shastra Yonidvat. First among the sutras, Tattu Samanvayat Shastra. This is 3rd sutra. Shastra Yonidvat, then Tattu Samanvayat. You have to make a concordance with all the different scriptures. One should study the scriptures again and again. This is the meaning of religion. 2 different meaning according to Latin. I think I said that the last time, but I will repeat it again. One of the meaning, this was the Latin people, in 2nd century, 3rd century, they say the first meaning is relegare, meaning to make the people gathering together. That's the usual understanding we have of religion. People say that people come together, but people can come together for different purpose. It can be just for political reason. You have a party and then everybody is coming, or it can be just for fun, gathering among friends and family. So the second etymology is more interesting, I find, is relegere. Religion comes from relegere, meaning to read again. We have Shastra and we should read. Christians read the Bible again and again and again and again. Jews read the Torah again and again and again. Slower. It's slower for them. Then Muslim, they read the Quran again and again and again, very quickly. But still, they read it again. They quote it. They hear it. And we should read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, all this again and again, slowly, through the help of Guru. It will help us to clear our doubts. No more doubts. No more misunderstanding. No apasiddhanta. We really have real good siddhanta. And the goal, according to Madhva, is to see God directly. Aparoksha jnana. There are 2 divisions in Madhva Sampradaya. One is called the Vyasakuta and the other kind is called the Dasakuta. The Vyasakuta are those who are very expert in Sanskrit literature. They know Upanishad, Veda, different Tantra, and they preach, they teach. They all know all Tattva Siddhanta very good. They preach for their Sampradaya. Sometimes they are called also Tattvavadi. Then the Dasakuta, Dasa means servant. They like to chant the holy name and meditate with loving affection on God. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has said that the Vyas come from Vyasadeva. Vyasakuta, they are Goshtanandi, they are the preachers. And the Other kind, Dasakuta, they are bhajananandi. They do bhajan, and they don't use Sanskrit language. They use vernacular language, their own language, which is in Canada, because they come from Karnataka. They followers of Madhvacharya. And Badiraja Swami, around the 15th century, he was called the second Madhva, because he was a very important guru in the Madh. He also wrote poetry for those devotees. They are called Haridas. Haridas, they like to do Harinam Sankirtan and propagate the doctrine of Madhva to the mass of the people. So we can see there's an influence, and it is very possible that Madhavendra Puri, he came from that branch of Haridas. Of course, the ideal is to have the combination of the two. Someone who is only studying Shastra, who is learning all Tattva Siddhanta, becomes sometimes very dry and not practical. And he may also turn out to be an impersonalist because, too much into his head. And someone who is only singing the Lord's Holy Name, never reading, he may become very sentimental. He may become a little sahaja. So the both should be combined. It's important to know Tattva Siddhanta very well, and also to do bhajan, one's own bhajan, so that the heart can melt. So, Sarva Vedanta Pratyayam. All Vedanta aim at understanding this Brahman, who is Bhagavan Vishnu, Lord Krishna, through study and through bhajan, through the worship from the heart. Banchikalpa tarubhyacha kripa sindhu bhyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.